Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tiravanachari. Jamuna Tiravanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tiravanachari. Jamuna Tiravanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Ashtavadata Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Ashtavadata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnavindra Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhaktavrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the Assam devotees. All glories to the Assam devotees. All glories to the Assam devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamadirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, we should offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the Goddess of Learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering devotional service to the pure devotee, all that is inauspicious within the heart is destroyed almost to nil, and loving devotion to the Supreme Lord, who is glorified in best of songs, in transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On the 17th day of June, 2024, in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in Canto 7, Chapter 9, Text 32. Nyasyedam Atmani Jagad Vilayambu Madhye Sheshetmana Nija Sukhanubhavo Nadiha Yogena Milita Drig Atma Napita Nidras Turye Stito Natu Tamo Na Gunangsh Shayungsye Nyasyedam Atma Nijagan Vilayambu Madhye Sheshetmana Nijasukhanubhavo Nidhiha Yogena Milita Dragatma Napita Nidras Turye Stito Natutamo Nagunang Stayungsye Nyasyedamapma Nijagan Vilayambu Madhye Sheshetmana Nijanusukhanubhavo Nidhiha Yogena Milita Dragambu Nipita Nidras Turye Stito Natutamo Nagunang Stayungsye Nyasyedam Atma Nijagan Vilayambu Madhye Sheshetmana Nijasukhanubhavo Nidhiha Yogena Milita Dragamtma Nipita Nidras Milita Dragatma Nipita Nidras Turye Stito Natutamo Nagunang Stayungsye Nyasyedam Nijagan Vilayambu Madhye Sheshetmana Nijasukhanubhavo Nidhiha Yogena Milita Dragatma Napita Nidras Turye Stito Natutamo Nagunang Stayungsye Nyasyedam Nijagan Vilayambu Madhye Sheshetmana Nijasukhanubhavo Nidhiha Yogena Milita Dragatma Napita Nidras Turye stito na tutamo na gunangsta yungshe. Nyasye namatmani jagat vilayambu madhye. Reshet manani jasukanu bhavo nariha. Yoge namida tadrigapa napita nidras. Surye stito natutamo nagunangsta yungshe. One more. Nyasye dhamatmani jagan vilayambu madhye. Sheshet manani jasukanu bhavo niriha. Yoge namila dadrigatma pita nindras. Yestito natutamo nakunangcha yungshe. Anyone online?
Nyasyedam atmani jagad vilayambu madhye.
Nyasjedam atmani jagan vilayambu madhye.
Sheshet mana nijasukha nubhavo nirihaha.
Sheshet manani jasukanu bhavo nariha.
Yogena milita drigatma nipita nidras.
Yoge namila dadrigapana pita nindras.
Turyes tito natutamo nagunamscha yungshe.
Turye stito natutamo nagunangcha yungshe. Nyatsya, throwing. Idam, this. Atmani, in your own self. Jagat, cosmic manifestation created by you. Vilya ambu madhye, in the causal ocean, in which everything is preserved in a state of reserved energy. Sheshe, you act as if sleeping. Atmana, by yourself. Nija, your own personal. Sukha anubhavaha, experiencing the state of spiritual bliss. Niriha, appearing to be doing nothing. Yogena, by the mystic power. Milatadrik, the eyes appearing closed. Atma, by a manifestation of yourself. Napita, prevented. Nidraha, who's sleeping. Turye, in the transcendental stage. Stitaha, keeping yourself. Na, not. Tu, but. Tamaha, the material condition of sleeping. Na, nor. Gunan, the material modes. Cha, and. Yungshe, do you engage yourself in. Translation. Prahlad prays to Lord Nrsimhadev. O my Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, after the annihilation of the creative energy is kept in you, who appear to sleep, after the annihilation, the creative energy is kept in you, who appear to sleep with half-closed eyes. Actually, however, you do not sleep like an ordinary human being, for you are always in the transcendental stage beyond the creation of the material world, and you always feel transcendental bliss. As Karanodakashaya Vishnu, you thus remain in your transcendental status, not touching material objects. Although you appear to sleep, this sleeping is distinct from sleeping in ignorance. Purport. As explained very clearly in the Brahma Samhita 547, Yakarnanavajale bhajatisma yoga nidramananda jagadanda saroma kupaha Adhara Shaktim Avalamya Parang Samurtim Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the primeval Lord Govinda, who lies down in the causal ocean in his plenary portion as Mahavishnu, with all the universes generating from the pores of hair on his transcendental body, and who accepts the mystic slumber of eternity. Close quote. The Adi Purusha, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, Govinda, expands himself as Mahavishnu. After the annihilation of this cosmic manifestation, he keeps himself in transcendental bliss. The word Yoga Nidram is used in reference to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should understand that this Nidra, or sleep, is not like our Nidra in the mode of ignorance. The Lord is always situated in transcendence. He is Satchit Ananda, eternally in bliss, and thus he is not disturbed by sleep like ordinary human beings. It should be understood that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is in transcendental bliss in all stages. Srila Madhvacharya concisely states that the Lord is Turya Stitaha, always situated in transcendence. In transcendence, there is no such thing as Jagarana Nidra Sushupti, wakefulness, sleep, and deep sleep. The practice of yoga is similar to the Yoga Nidra of Mahavishnu. The yogis are advised to keep their eyes half closed, but this state is not at all one of sleep, although imitation yogis, especially in the modern age, manifest their so-called yoga by sleeping. In the Shastra, yoga is described as dhyana avastita, a state of full meditation. But this is meditation upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Dhyana avastita tadgatena manasa. The mind should always be situated at the lotus feet of the Lord. Yoga practice does not mean sleeping. The mind should always be actively fixed at the lotus feet of the Lord. Then one's practice of yoga will be successful. Om Vijnana Timbrandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilatam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto him and all members of Sri Parampara, the disciplic succession. So, Sri Prahlad is here giving us a verse describing the Mahavishnu, who, as we know, is an expansion of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada often quotes this, the verse, what is it? I forget. No, the one where it says that Krishna has nothing to do. Yeah. It'll come later. But this is, what is it? Yes, it is the karyam karanancha vidyate, that's yanayasti rishide. So this karanam is, it means he has no duty. When Prabhupada says he has nothing to do, it means he doesn't have to do anything. That's a funny thing in the language, you know. Because Krishna does so many things, but he doesn't have to do anything. So how is he doing things? How are things being accomplished? By his expansions. Through his energies and through expansions such as Mahavishnu. Now, Mahavishnu is not a direct expansion of Krishna. He's an expansion of Balaram. But ultimately, it all comes back to Krishna, the Supreme Personality. Ede changsa kalapangsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. This is declared by Jiva Goswami, the Paribhas Sutra of the whole Bhagavatam. Means the essential statement from which everything else flows. And what is that essential statement? That you're describing after a list of all these avatars, including the Leela avatars and some Shakti-Avesh avatars, that all of these are expansions or expansions of Krishna, but Krishna himself is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. That word Bhagavan is defined by Parasara Muni as to be Aishwarasya Samagrasya Viryasya Yashashakshaya Jnanavaigirishya Shannam Bhaga Itingana. So he's full in these six opulences of wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation or detachment. So Krishna has all of these opulences in full. He manifests them in full. Now his expansions also have them, but they don't manifest all of them. You see? Just like this Mahavishnu, who could be more powerful than Mahavishnu. He's creating all these universes. He's magnificent. But he doesn't have all of Krishna's beauty, which is manifest in his pastimes, and all these different things. And so this is when you learn the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, you read the Bhagavatam, you read the Bhagavad Gita, and the other books. You're introduced to a conception of God that, first of all, is very detailed. It's very detailed. If you try to ask a Christian, what does God look like? How does he look? They'll say, oh, no, you have no idea. And they would hand out, I remember we were doing Harinam, this is many years ago, downtown. And some Christians were passing out little pamphlets, So I took one, or some of the others took one, and on the way back we were looking at them. And they show one picture of the servant of God, the pious person is approaching him. And there's this massive figure with no face, sitting on a throne. The whole thing is based on this awe and reverence and merely fear, That's not what Krishna Bhakti is all about. Krishna in his original form is this all-attractive adolescent boy, in form like that, playing in Goloka Vrindavan without a care in his mind. He has no duty to perform, He may accept the duty of taking the cows out, but what happens when he takes the cows out? That's his job, But he's all days playing. He has different pastimes with the boys, and then he goes meets the gopis, This, and it makes complete sense that when you get to the Supreme God, why would he be in a situation where he had so many things to worry about? Oh, they're performing so much sinful activity, I have to smite them, And he would be always arrange things so he's always in bliss. In terms of creation and the punishment and all these things, expand. Let my deputies do it. So Mahavishnu is an especially awe-inspiring expansion. Huge, Prabhupada, I hear the lecture every morning. We can just imagine the caliber of Mahavishnu. He's describing how all these universes are coming out. And just in one breath, the whole creation is manifested, and everything happens, all of the birth, death, old age, and disease, millions and millions of times, and ultimately there's the annihilation, and fire and flood. I mean, isn't that what's happening now? When we get all the things that are... I remember a few years ago when suddenly we saw these massive fires in Northern California. Some people were living in paradise, town paradise, completely annihilated. People were killed there, So there's the fire, and then there's flooding. The oceans are rising. Now we have so much, flooding in Florida, and all these storms are blowing. So that destructive force is, manifest even on this little earth in a small amount, but it's still very dangerous for us. So, but ultimately that's what destroys everything, right? There's the massive fire, there's a massive flood, everything is annihilated, everyone dies just on the earth, but no one dies, right? Everybody dies, nobody dies. Najayate meke vakadashin. But your body perishes, and then what happens? Well, if there's no other bodies to go into, then you merge into Mahavishnu. And there, it's not like we're dreaming and sleeping there for so many millions of years. We're deep sleep, unconscious, suspended animation kind of thing. But all our karma is still intact, and when finally he breathes out, and the manifestation takes place, and ultimately Brahma, so many Brahmas, universe, and we eventually take another body, and we pick up where we left off, and it goes on. We don't know any of this. That's the thing. We're completely covered. Even our past life or lives, we have no idea. Because if we did know, we probably couldn't live. Massive PTSD. You'd be so much. But these descriptions of how the creation is taking place and so many and ultimately destroyed put us in a situation we kind of understand, what we've been through, and we should be enthralled and attracted with the promise in the Bhagavad Gita and that we can get out of this. We can get out of this birth and death, old age and disease, and the suffering that it entails, the false hopes of happiness in this world. What's the most amazing thing? Remember? When Yudhishthira was asked by his father, Yamaraj, he didn't know it was his father at the time, in the Mahabharata, what's the most amazing thing in this world? Yeah. Yeah. And everyone knows the Sanskrit, right? No, I'll describe. They're good. Day by day, every day, so many people are dying and being dragged off to Yamalaj, Yamamandaram, Prabhupada says it, Yamalayam. But those who are left are living as though they'll never die. We've got a permanent situation here. Now I've got it together, I've got a house, I've got a car, I've got a wife, I've got kids, I've got everything, my bank balance is okay. Thing is, I've made it. But you haven't made it. It's very temporary. It's just fleeting. Any situation in which you feel that, all right, I'm finally good, like the Sankirtan devotees know, it's like, I'm good, right? I don't have to worry. But you actually have the key by which they can really make their lives good. But this illusion that we can find some position of security and happiness in this world is what we need to cast off as the first step in enlightenment, as it were. And so one of the themes here is that he's not really sleeping like we sleep, right? It's kind of a position he's in, but he's conscious, fully conscious, of course. And he is, Mahavishnu is emanating all of these universes are full of uncounted living entities in different states of existence. So one of the things is so often in the Shastra, in the Bhagavatam, especially you find detailed explanation. And Krishna, he also Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi Dukkha Doshana Darshanam, that one should always be one of the elements of knowledge in the 13th chapter is one should always remember the evils or the pains of birth, old age, disease, and death. And that should serve as kind of the initial motivation, for a spiritual life. Yeah, well, how can I get out of this situation now that I understand that I'm trapped here by my own illusions and my own ignorance, and Krishna consciousness, the whole process of Bhakti Yoga, these wonderful books, are offering us a systematic way in which we can escape this round of birth and death. So I want to do that. I want to go back to Godhead, But in the process of devotional service, if you follow it properly, you get more and more purified, more and more attracted to Krishna in the process of devotional service, then ultimately that attraction is not there, liberation is not there as the primary attraction. And ultimately it disappears. Nadanang, nadanang, nasundang. Lord Chaitanya is teaching us how to pray. He's starting out with things that people mostly approach God for in the material sense. Oh, please let me have enough wealth to live nicely, like that. Let me have followers. Let me have a beautiful wife, right? All these things. It says nadanang, nadanang, nasundarim kavitam. And sometimes that sundaring is matched with the kavitam, in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's explanation. Very beautiful erudition, the ability to write poetry. Jagadish Gamiye. Mama janmani janmanishvare. So as soon as he says birth after birth, it means he doesn't want for liberation either. So he's teaching us, don't get caught up in this trap of approaching God or the gods for material benefit. And even this desire for liberation, Prahlad in a later prayer, he categorizes as a type of kama, right? Swavamukti kama. Prayena deva muniyo swavamukti kama. Maunam chadandi vijanena padartanishta. He's describing those transcendentalists who are simply after their own liberation. The heck with everyone else, right? I've got to go away to the Himalayas to some secluded place so I don't get bothered by all of this hubbub, of these ignorant people in the city, right? So maunam, they practice silence. Charanti vijane, they go where there's no people. Naparartha nishtam, having no determination to help other people. So this is a category of a kind of karma. And we know from the very second verse of the Bhagavatam, Dharma Project Kaitavotra, here in the Bhagavatam, all cheating religions are kicked out. And Prabhupada makes it clear, and I've heard him on, I think, on a tape, and I think in the purport, that Sridhar Swami says, yes, and one of these cheating religions is the ones that simply leads to your own liberation. Liberation is another form of because after all, what is it? Even our own attempts, which are so common, to counteract the miseries of this world, right? Here we are in 2 or 3 days before summer, and it's still cold in the morning here. I mean, the climate has changed. So, we have the coats on and these things like that. So anything we're doing to counteract the miseries of this world is a kind of mini liberation, So the big liberation is, I'll just be merged in my spiritual form, or no form, sorry, in my spiritual nature, in the Brahman. No more birth, no more death, no more old age, no more disease. Oh, now I'm happy. For how long, right? Yenye bindaksha vimuktamaninas trayashta bhavat avishuddha buddhya aruha kritrena parang padatato patanjado nadvishayushmarangriya. This is the demigods praying for Krishna. It was understood that he's now in the womb of Devaki, about to take birth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they came down and hidden, they weren't obvious. They were offering these beautiful prayers. This is one Prabhupada always quotes. So they're praising the devotees. Now they say, but there are others, Ainye Aravindaksha, O Lotus-eyed Lord, who are vimuktamaninas. They think they're liberated. They only think they're really liberated. Vimuktamana try ashtabhava avashuddha buddha, but their consciousness, their intelligence is impure. And some of them, not all of them, by severe austerities, aruha kritrena, they rise up to Brahman. Aruha kritrena parang padam. It means the supreme nature or the supreme situation of Brahman. Parang padam patantyedo anadrisha yushmarangaya. But they fall down again because they are averse to serving your lotus feet. In other words, as Rishabdev so succinctly says, Pritir nayavan maya vasudeve namuchate dehi yogena tabat. In the 5th canto, in that wonderful series of verses he has there before leaving on sannyas, more or less, and he's telling his sons and others listening. So the last verse, I won't go into the whole lesson there, is a nice 3-verse lesson beginning with Nunam Pramatta, and it ends up, but it's very, very succinct. Pritir Nayavan Mahi Vasudevi. Here he's revealing, I am Vasudev. He's an incarnation of Vasudev, Krishna. As long as one does not have love for me, Vasudev, one cannot become free from birth and death. There's no mukti without bhakti. It's just a false mukti, this impersonal liberation. Because we're persons, we ourselves are eternal persons. And we can never be satisfied in an impersonal white light or everything else. Just the absence of birth and death is not ultimately satisfying for the soul. We need the full engagement of our transcendental senses in the service of the Lord and reciprocation of rasa. And that is our eternal home, you see. So that's a very important consideration. And but still, so much, Bhagavatam also is describing the difficulties of material life. In that very same 5th canto, you find the forest of enjoyment, so-called forest of enjoyment, the teachings of Bharat, Jadabharat, towards King Rahugana, describing the frustration of trying to become happy and secure in this material world. It's impossible. So both things have to be there. I kind of describe it like, yes, we have to understand that Maya is there with her trident, the threefold miseries, and she's pushing us. Yes, practice devotional service. Go to Krishna, you see. But that's not sufficient. Krishna is inviting us with his description of and the thing about Krishna consciousness that's given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is that both are there. It's definitely based on Bhagavatam and full knowledge and the great devotees. But he showed, and he was able to give by this mantra and the chanting and dancing process, anyone from any platform. You don't have to be a Brahmin, you don't have to be an Indian, you don't have to be a man, woman, old, young. everyone is welcome to come and chant Hare Krishna and dance. And as soon as you do it with a little attention and sincerity and faith, you'll experience some bliss, some happiness. This is how the movement spread. Prabhupada came, I just heard him speaking on a tape. I went out to Tompkinson Square Park, and I had a little, I didn't have a madanga, he laughs, I had a little dundubi, half of a bongo drum. Right? 3 hours, he said, from 2 to 5 I played. And there were people, they came and said with their dogs, and the children, people, the devotees are left, But he knew the power of the holy name. And he had a few first followers. Nanda was there, Brahmananda, and they stood up and danced. They were the first to dance, he remembers. And everyone can attest. This is how you become attracted, by simply suspending your disbelief and your doubt long enough to take part in the kirtan and the Sunday feast, or these wonderful festivals, summer festivals, like Ratha Yatra. And there's some taste there, even if you're perfectly new, you haven't practiced yoga in your life. And that taste should, the fortunate people become interested in looking into it more. And then you read a book. You get a book. And as soon as you open one of Prabhupada's books, you're associating with Prabhupada. And that's all important. And, these prayers of Prahlad, they're so rich, and we've already been through some of the main ones. Bala Sineya Sharanam Pitadona Singha. A child cannot be protected without your blessing, without your being behind it. That's the idea. He's speaking to Nrsingadev. Then all these efforts to counteract the miseries of the world are futile. The boat, you go out on a boat and the boat will sink. Your child, you pray like anything, but you're not really devoted. You're an atheist, and the child dies. And so this is one of the basic principles of Krishna consciousness that we learn in the Bhagavad Gita so thoroughly, is that really we're dependent at every moment on the mercy of the Lord for everything we do. This became more acutely aware, I think within the movement, but also everyone, how we depend on the air. If you can't breathe, you're finished. Things we take for granted. And that's why I think we had an influx of devotees, people wanting to join during the pandemic. We had several people who stayed and became, but because suddenly it was you couldn't escape it. The reality of the danger of death concentrates the mind very much. They say someone is about to be executed, his mind gets concentrated. But if he doesn't have any assets in Krishna consciousness, you won't know what to think of. So this is something that the best way to get it, of course, is through hearing. Not that you have to go through a near-death experience and almost die, or have a friend who died of COVID and said, let me check out these Hare Krishnas, Hare Krishna. But whatever way it happens, if someone comes into the association of devotees and is properly receptive to the message, because we have so many guests come and they go, and like that. But if they're thoughtful, the whole point is that the intelligence needs to be purified by hearing the pure message from the pure source. And I always like to quote this one verse from that Lord Chaitanya spoke to Sanatana Goswami in his teachings in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And his teachings are the most extensive. I think there's 3 or 4 chapters of them. And he went through Sambandha Abhideya Priyojana. Now, for those of you who may not remember what that means, Sambandha is understanding the relationship. Basic point is God is the supreme master, the supreme controller. We are his eternal servants. This material world is his creation, and how the interactions go. That's the Sambandha. So that was the first part of the teachings. Then the second is Abhideya, the practice. So this is near the beginning of his describing the practice of devotional service to Sanatana Goswami. And he chants this verse. Prabhupada would like to quote it. Kamadinam katina katita palitadu nideshas. Tesham jata mayna karuna nattapano prashanti. Utrijaitan hadiyadubate sampratam labdha buddhis tvamayatak shadanam abhayam mamdayun swatma dasye. In how many ways have I sought to obey the seductive demands of my wicked desires? They've shown me no mercy, yet on I have gone shamelessly trying to quench lust's unquenchable fires. But now I'm rejecting these hellish desires, for my higher intelligence now has awoken. O Krishna, O shelter of fearlessness, please let me serve you with faith that will never be broken. So that awakening of the intelligence is all important. And that's why Prabhupada wrote his books and why he was so insistent that we read them regularly, those who are serious about Krishna consciousness. Morning and evening class. He was very much insistent, morning and evening class. And that's why I've been trying to keep that evening class alive all these years. And now with the internet, people, and there's some fans out there. But it's just Bhagavad Gita. The class is effective not because I'm so erudite, but because we're reading Prabhupada's books systematically. We've been through the Gita 3 or 4 times already. And that's meant to awaken your intelligence, your higher intelligence, so that you can see the futility. The first thing is seeing the futility of trying to be happy and secure and peaceful in this material world and this material situation. And then the next question is, well, okay, is there a place where you can be happy and peaceful? Or is there a state of mind? Yes. And that's the process of devotional service. And so if you have enough faith and enough good association, you'll take it up, which usually means regular chanting and maybe gradually, maybe suddenly following the 4 regulative principles. And you realize that the mind, yes, can be your best friend or your worst enemy. And you recognize, oh, this mind is taking me here, I'm so depressed, like that. But you have the tools, beginning with the chanting of the holy name and association and studying the Shastra and practicing the principles of devotion, to come out of the sense of helplessness before your mad mind and all of this world, and realize we do have an agency. We do have a free will which we can exercise and get the mercy of Krishna, purification, so we can feel that, yes, there's hope. There's real hope in my life. Being realistic. I mean, I'm realistic. I may not go back to God at this life, but I'm going to try. But how many millions of billions of lives have I not even tried? And I've just been a complete victim of my own insanity. So Krishna consciousness is really the one society, one organization, one religion, and we're not the only Gaudiya Vaishnava institution, but it's certainly the one Srila Prabhupada put it all over the world, and it's the one we're in, and it's completely capable of taking us to perfection. That this is the only hope for the earth, as Prabhupada said, the only hope for the world. And we can see things deteriorating socially, atmospherically, the climate change. The climate has changed, not for the better, let's put it that way. And so where is there any hope? So we can have these twofold things. For ourselves, we want salvation, but at the same time, we're in Lord Chaitanya's movement, and we need to try to help as many people as possible with it. So that's what you learn here. All these incredible details of how things are created, what is going on, and the incredible lengths of time we're talking about here. So the importance of time. Our time is, every one of us is expiring. Some of us will take a little longer, younger. But what to do with the time that we have left? How can we best spend it in order to achieve, or at least get closer toward the ultimate goal that we have? So that's why avyakta kalatvam is one of the main principles that Rupa Goswami teaches. Don't waste time. Every second is precious. And that's really a symptom of someone who's advanced, is that whatever situation you're using it in Krishna consciousness, either to share it with others, or to advance yourself, or to perform some duty in relation to the deities, whatever it may be. And and you find yourself in that, if you're really in that mood, that you're peaceful, because you're situated in Krishna consciousness. And ultimately, we hope to be in that state when we leave this body. And who knows? Maybe I'll get to see all you in your original Siddhadeha form one day. Hare Krishna. So it's 8:35. Any questions, comments? Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, we have some other locals here. I'll call on you when we're ready, okay?
Okay.
Hare Bol Vijay.
Haribo, Dravida Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, amazing class. One question, what is the difference between Nidra and Shushupti, sleep and deep sleep?
Oh, well, usually there's these three levels. There's waking, there's sleep with dreaming, and then deep sleep where there's no dreaming. There's no dreaming, you're just sleeping, you know. So that's what's going on when we're within Mahavishnu, you know. But he doesn't have these three things, you know. So Shupti is the deep sleep, dreamless sleep.
It's not the Ashtanga Yogi where he's completely... is it different from the higher stage of yoga?
Yeah. I mean, the highest state of yoga is you're fully awake. Even though, you know, you're not, Prabhupada says, you don't close your eyes. If you close your eyes, you fall asleep. He saw that, you know, with the yoga studio. And I tried meditation before I even knew Krishna consciousness, trying to meditate on Om. It was very, very difficult. But when I tried meditating on the Hare Krishna mantra, I didn't fall asleep. Wakes you up. But yeah, the state, these are the general three states of consciousness. So we have most control and agency when we're fully awake, you know. And some, you know, and Jeev Jago, you know, there's a general, being in ordinary consciousness, you're sleeping. Because you're not awake to the reality of who you are, what life is all about, how can I improve, all of these. You don't even ask the right questions. And that's this avritam jnanametina. You know, by too much material sense gratification. Lord Krishna's conversation with Arjuna at the end of the 3rd chapter. Arjuna asks such a cogent question. What is it oh Lord, what is it that forces us to do things that we know are against our best interests? You know, what is it? Kamesha, Krodahesha, Rajoguna Samudvaha, Mahashano, Mahapapma Vidyinam Hivaidinam. This is a really important verse. It is lust only, which is transformed into wrath when it's frustrated, which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. And the next verse describes the state of most people, you know, and ourselves, and before any Krishna consciousness. Avritam jnanametina. This lust, this eternal enemy, covers your knowledge. Avritam jnanino nitya vaidina, eternal enemy. Kamarupena dushpradena analena, just like a fire that's never satisfied. You may bank it a little bit, you know, but then it just flares up again more. So that's why Rishabdev says, Nunam pramatta kuradevi kama yadanipitayapanoti. Certainly they are mad who simply are so absorbed in satisfying the senses that they perform any kind of activity, be karma even, which is sinful, very sinful, and is sure to produce a lot of suffering. Indriya prayer, nasara manya, he says, not a very good idea. As opposed to what Prahlad said, tatsara manya. He's describing the best thing he learned. This is the worst thing. Nasara is not very good. Bad idea, says Rishabdev. Nasara manya yata atmanoyam asannapi kleshada asadeya. Because such activity is 100% certain to give you another body, and because you're doing for karma, it's going to be a body full of suffering, you know. Then the key verse in the series, Parabhavastavada bodha jato, yavan jigyasa sa atma tattvam, yavat kriyas tavadidam manomai karmatmakam hina sharira bandha. So Parabhavas is defeat, birth, old age, disease, and death. Birth, that's defeat. As long as you don't inquire into the truth of the soul, yavat Prabhavas tavat abodha jato yavan the jigyasa. Well, jigyasa the atma tattvam, sound familiar? Atato brahma jigyasa. This is why the Bhagavatam is the actual commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. As long as you don't inquire into the truth of the self, who is God, what's the relationship, it's simply, you know, what's the price of this, what's the price of that. You will suffer defeat, birth and death. Yavat kriyas, because your mind you'll always be performing fruitive activity. It's kriya in this point. Yavat kriyas tavat idam mano by karmatmakam, and your mind is karmatmakam, is always saturated with different material desires. You know, get revenge on this person, you know, buy this, enjoy that, you know, whatever it may be. And so that karma mind, we know the mind will carry you to the next body, next body, next body, next body. So after that, he says, Evam mana karma vasham payunkte abhidyaman ubhidiyamani pritir niyavan mai vasudeve. Thus the mind, saturated with these ideas, so until one has love for me, one will not be able to be free. Because then all one's desires are sublimated into, oh, how can Krishna be pleased? I always like to quote this little line from the Sundarbha. It's quoted, but Prabhupada quotes it in the second canto in the commentary to the verse Akama sarva kamo va moksha kamo dadadi. So what's the definition of bhakti? Here he says, bhajaniya paramapurusha sukha matra swasukatvam. Have you heard that before? It's like a condensation of anyabhilasha dashunyam. So bhajaniya means worshipable. He's the worshipful, one who should worship. Paramapurusha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhajaniya paramapurusha sukha matra. Only the happiness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then the rest of it goes, sukha matra swasukatvam. One should take one's own happiness only and solely in helping the Lord, doing what you can to make the Lord happy, in the pleasure of the Lord. So then the materialist says, well, what about me? Where am I get my happiness if I'm only trying to make him happy? And the idea is, we're part and parcel of the Lord, and He is Anandamaya Bhyasat. So that, Prabhupada, I heard him, he said, and therefore our natural position is always to be Anandamaya Bhyasat, made of Ananda, always filled with Ananda of bliss. So the idea is that the function of the hand becomes happy when it's serving the whole body. Otherwise, it withers and dies if you're not putting food in the tummy, right? So similarly, spiritually, we've withered and died, kind of, because we've been after our false happiness for this particular body, whatever body it is in. And that's the road to fear, bhayam dutiyam, and illusion, unhappiness, and birth and death. So that's simple formula, and that's why chanting Hare Krishna, even in a state with a little concentration, brings happiness, because Krishna is pleased. You're chanting His name, just like if someone chants our name. So yes, yeah. But so that and that can be raised to the ultimate platform where at every moment we're tasting the happiness of relating to Krishna and giving Him pleasure. Okay, Vijay, you're on. Oh, I'm sorry. We have another local.
It's continue to this question. This awakened state of the soul is Brahmabhuta Prasanatma, that beyond statement, beyond the material influence.
Yes, that's the transcendental state. Turiya, the fourth stage of consciousness, beyond the Jagrata. That's why it's a stage. To say that that Mahavishnu is in a stage of consciousness, no, he's in the fourth stage. Always pyramid. Yeah, Turiya. Turiya that means fourth. Are we ready? Okay. Vijay, you're on. Still there?
Yes, I'm here. Dravida Prabhu, thank you very much. You're most kind. Dandavat Pranams. Prabhu, do you mind reciting again the second sentence of the translation?
Second sentence, okay. Should be able to find that. Wow, the first sentence is pretty long. As Karuna Dakshay Vishnu, that one?
No, it begins with actually.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. Actually, however, you do not sleep like an ordinary human being, for you are always in the transcendental stage, beyond the creation of the material world, and you always feel transcendental bliss.
Yes, that is the sentence.
Yes.
Thank you very much, you're most kind. So, based on this sentence, my question is, and allow me to mention the 9 stages of Bhakti Yoga: Shraddha, Sadhusanga, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivriti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhav, and Prem. So, if we take in consideration these 9 stages of Bhakti Yoga, which is the stage in which I would find my sleeping stopping to be ordinary and changing for being transcendental? When does it begin?
Well, it definitely begins with bhava and prema, but I'm not sure that we ever reach that stage. That there's ever a point where we go to sleep and we're still awake. You know, the idea is that Mahavishnu is not really unconscious. He's never unconscious. You know, but until as long as we have these bodies, as long as we're you know, I mean, obviously, if you go back to God, and all bets are off. You can't describe, you know, that you're ever asleep, and you're never unconscious there. But in this body, you know, the idea, I mean, simply put, read Krishna book at night. If you do it good and you're in good consciousness, then hopefully you'll dream of Krishna. That's successful sleeping. But it doesn't mean that you won't also have periods at night where you're really in susupti and you're not dreaming at all. Because you still carrying this body, and the body is still you know, doing its thing. The brain has to turn off at a certain point, I think, in order to regenerate, whatever. So I wouldn't try to analogize what Mahavishnu was doing in his section with what we have. But we can. But you know, one of the things is minimize the sleep. Why did the Goswamis Nidra Hara Vahara tried to minimize the sleep? Because they thought that as wasted time. You know, in other words, they could be writing more and more and sharing. And so they were able to do that, and they were given the facility to maintain their health even with minimal sleep and minimal eating. So that's what we can aspire for, but until we actually have a purely spiritual body, I don't think we can look forward to, you know, going to sleep and always being conscious, you know, like that. We're not really made for that. That's my best answer. I may be wrong on that, but I think that's logical. I never heard Prabhupada talk about how we can get to that, always be awake even while sleeping. Is that okay?
Yes,
it's the best I can do,
Prabhu. Dravida Prabhu, thank you very much.
Okay.
You're most kind. Hare Krishna.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Hari Bo. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dhanabari, she's still out there.